Hi, in this video I'll help you get to know your car a little better. At the end of this video I've put together a straightforward infographic that summarizes all the key points. Like, subscribe and comment below. It really helps.
If you're a Dodge owner, you know that a cryptic code on your dashboard can be, well, frustrating to say the least. Today we're tackling one of the really common ones, B25AB. So in this explainer, we're going to break it all down step by step and turn that confusion into a clear plan.
You know, you should really think of that dashboard light and that B25AB code as a message your car is sending you. It's not just some random annoyance, it's actually a clue. So our job here is to play detective and figure out what it's trying to tell us.
All right, are you ready to crack this thing? Let's grab our virtual toolkit. This is about more than just fixing a car. It's about learning the language your vehicle speaks. So yeah, let's dive in.
Okay, so every good mystery, right? It starts with a clue, and for us, that clue is the code itself. Before we can even think about finding the culprit, we gotta know what we're looking for. So what is this B25AB code anyway?
Okay, so the official by-the-book definition is liftgate unlock control circuit low. Now I know, that sounds super technical, right? And while it obviously points us to the liftgate, it's that last part, control circuit low, that's the real head-scratcher.
So that really begs the question, what does low even mean in this context? Are we talking about a wire that's snapped? A part that's just given up? Figuring this out is really the key to our whole diagnostic journey.
You know, in any investigation, you always start with the usual suspects. And believe it or not, car diagnostics is pretty much the same thing. There are a handful of common culprits that are usually responsible for this B25AB code, so let's get them all lined up and take a look.
All right, this table right here, this is basically our entire game plan. We've got four main suspects on the board: an open circuit, a relay that's gone bad, an issue with the totally integrated power module, yeah, the TIPM, or just some good old-fashioned bad wiring. Think of this as our roadmap for cracking the case. Okay, with our suspects all lined up, the real investigation can begin. We're going to use a method that mechanics love. It's called the diagnostic funnel. The idea is simple. We start with the easiest, most common stuff first, and then we work our way down to the more complicated possibilities. Honestly, this approach is going to save you a ton of time, money, and let's be real, a lot of headaches.
So here's the plan, our four-step diagnostic. First, we check the circuit. Then, we inspect the physical wiring. If all of that looks good, we'll test the relay. And finally, only as a last resort, we're going to investigate the big one, the main control unit, the TIPM. See? It's a perfect process of elimination.
All right, let's kick things off with our number one suspect, the open circuit. Now just think of an electrical circuit like a racetrack. If there's a big break in the track, none of the cars can finish the lap, right? It's exactly the same idea here with the electricity.
It's really that simple. When the circuit has a break in it, that relay, it never gets the signal it needs to unlock the liftgate. And the car's computer, it's smart. It sees this failure instantly, and bam! It throws up that B25AB code to let you know something's wrong. So the fix for this is pretty straightforward. You grab a multimeter and you test the circuit for resistance. If you find a spot with a break, boom! You repair that little section of wire, and you might just solve the whole mystery right then and there. Easy peasy. Okay, so our next suspect is a close cousin to the first one. The wiring itself. You know, the circuit design might be perfectly fine, but the actual physical wires that carry the juice, well, they can often be the real point of failure. And you gotta remember, over time, wires just take a beating. They can get frayed, pinched, or start to corrode, especially in a spot that moves all the time, like a liftgate. And this kind of physical damage, it creates the exact same open circuit problem we were just talking about, which, you guessed it, triggers the code. So how do you fix it? Well, you start with a good old-fashioned visual inspection. Just trace the bundle of wires, the wiring harness, that goes to the liftgate latch. You're looking for any obvious signs of damage. If you spot a wire that's frayed or looks all green and corroded, replacing that section should get you right back in business. Okay, so let's say we've checked the path and the road itself looks totally clear. But what if the problem isn't the road, but one of the traffic controllers? Well, that brings us to suspect number 3, the liftgate unlock relay. The relay is basically just an electronic switch. It takes a tiny electrical signal and uses it to flip a bigger switch that operates the powerful latch mechanism. But if that little switch itself is broken, it doesn't matter how perfect your wiring is. The circuit fails and up pops the code. Now, the good news is this can be one of the simplest fixes of all. If you've already ruled out a wiring problem, the next logical step is to just replace the relay. They're usually not very expensive, and swapping it out is typically a pretty easy job.
And now it's time for our final and most significant suspect, the Totally Integrated Power Module, or TIM. I want you to think of this thing as the central command center, the brain, for your car's entire electrical system. See, there's a reason we saved this one for last. The TIPM is the boss. It's the thing that's actually controlling the liftgate circuit. So if the module itself has some kind of internal failure on that specific circuit, well, no amount of fixing wires or relays is going to solve it. The problem is coming from the source.
And yeah, this solution is definitely the most involved. If you've gone through the steps, you've methodically ruled out the circuit, the wiring, and the relay, then all the evidence is pointing in one direction, a faulty TIPM. And at that point, the module itself just has to be replaced.
All right, we've investigated our suspects, we've figured out the motives. Now, before we officially close the case file on code B25AB, let's do a quick recap of everything we've learned just to make sure it all sinks in. So here it is, our investigation board, one last time. We started with an open circuit or a faulty wire, moved on to a bad relay, and ended with the possibility of a failed TIPM. But listen, the most important thing to take away from all this is to follow these steps logically. Don't ever just jump to replacing the most expensive part first. The golden rule is, and always will be, diagnose, don't just guess.
You know, this really gets to the heart of it. A check engine light isn't just a bill waiting to happen. It's a clue. Every single code is a new little mystery that's just waiting for you to solve it. And by understanding this diagnostic process, you're not just a driver anymore. You're the detective. So the real question is, what case are you going to crack next?